Everybody said you couldn't make it as an artist from anywhere other than the cities, right? Like you'd have to move to Berlin or New York to make it. And I'm thinking, well, if that's what I have to do, then I'm not interested. But for me, in the end, living in this obscure, remote part of the province created some kind of a myth about who I am and what I do.
He's a land artist, he's a sculptor, he works with metal, he works with wood, he works with recycled items. Peter is an art dealer's nightmare because how do you define him? But I think that that is the beauty of Peter von Tiesenhausen, is that you can't define him.
What is important is that the image conveys the process and the thrill of the making. This is an aluminum vessel made out of overhead power cable. The reason we make art is because it's unknowable. It has no boundaries. It can be anything. And as a result, it's this endless journey. We moved to Demet when I was about 4, so I've been living here ever since. Most of my inspiration comes from this place. It's the place I understand the best. This land is what I understand the best. This is a piece I called Lifeline. 25 years ago, I quit my job and I built this fence, and I've been building this fence every year for the last 25 years. I mean, I was a young man when I started this. I add 8 feet to it every year for the rest of my life, painting it white only once. So it's left to the elements. And now when I was youngest, that part is old. And now as I'm oldest, this part is young. It is a metaphor for one person's existence. It didn't really get a meaning until 20 years later, where you start to see the aging process. And it was about putting something into the land that was a visual statement or a metaphor for commitment, not only to the place, but also to a career as an artist. So now I'm very conscious of, my age and my limitations, I guess, too. One of the most profound projects or experiences I ever had was traveling my 5 wooden watchers carved from spruce wood around Canada on a 35,000 kilometer, 5-year journey. The journey of the watchers began as a complete accident, really. I had the plan to make these 5 figures and put them on a roof in Calgary, but then things happened, and that event ended up having an unexpected outcome, which led to the next event. Just by accident, we put them standing up in the back of the truck, and that was funny. But it was also tragic to some people. And by having this diverse feedback, I became very conscious of where I was and what I was doing. What that journey led to was absolutely profound in understanding how the world works, how people interact, how you overcome challenges, and how to trust that the right thing will happen. And even if it doesn't feel like the right thing, it is the right thing.
And here we are on the side of the road, broke down.
But it's only in retrospect that it's the right thing.
Oh, that's fun.
And that leads to often a really engaging story. Years ago, I started working with ice because I'm surrounded by it for 6 months of the year. So I was working with ice lenses and ice boats, which I would carve into the surfaces of the pond here. And my dream was always to make a film about that. What does it mean to use an ice boat? What does it mean to make one? I wanted to talk about the temporality of life, I guess, through the temporality of ice. I'm looking for the universal readings of this landscape and this material and the human effort involved. It's a project that finally came to its completion after 20-some years with the making of that film. About 23 years ago, I put this figure in the swamp as a gift to the land, and he toppled over.
The artwork that we collect of Peter's are really just records of the much bigger project that is Peter von Tiesenhausen, and that's his concern with the environment, his concern with the land, his concern with leaving something for future generations.
And now he's almost completely taken back into the land.
Peter von Tiesenhausen has become very well known for his fight against the oil and gas industry, particularly under the pressure of putting a pipeline across his property.
As an artist, when you paint a picture, no one has the right to change that picture until 50 years after your death. The land is an artwork by way of the things that it has on it. So I own the top 6 inches, and so you can't disturb that. I just claimed the land as a painting, really. I went for the moral rights of that law, where if you alter my artwork, it is an infringement of my moral right. So this was a tower of willows incorporating 2 aspen trees that I built about 20 years ago.
For Peter to be able to actually say, I am copywriting this parcel of land, it is a piece of artwork. It's stunning. I mean, I think that the legal community, the art community, the oil and gas community were sort of like, took a step back and went, wow, I never thought of that. Peter is just so grounded and so committed to the values that he holds close. Money flows like crazy in this part of the world. He's never sold out to that, and I think that's a testament, and I think it's something that we can all learn.
Maybe for a century there'll be a row of trees guided by this thing. Eventually it'll normalize. It'll just be nature. I don't see any difference between art and life, really, for me. I just try to live in the most meaningful and engaging and enriching way. And within that, at the end of the day, there is some residue which just happens to be seen as art. I'm just some guy living his life out in rural Alberta, thinking that all kinds of things are possible that maybe aren't, right? But maybe are. And it's funny, when you believe that something's possible, it's astounding how often it actually is, against all odds.